So here we go. I reviewed some of my work yesterday. I went back. I reanalyzed some players. I think one of the keys to starting your spreadsheet and starting from the top is that you can keep tinkering. You can keep tinkering. You might have a debate. I mean, it's still January, but at least we're approaching everything right. We're going to start from the top, work our way down, make sure we get that first round locked in, second round locked in. I look back at some things, and there's some players I might have to move around, but we're going to keep thinking about it. So if you want to see my top 12, go back to the top 12 video. We're going to advance it. I'm going to give you the next 12 here today. But since we are focused on auction draft strategy, I want to give you some actual tips. And I think one of the biggest keys here, this is about getting sleepers. And the idea, you're going to kind of think that, let's say last year it was Albies. And if you drafted early, you could have had Albies for $5. If it was a noob league, an online Yahoo free auction, maybe nobody knew. Preseason comes around, he starts to heat up, all of a sudden you're going to have to pay $15, $20 for Albies. You didn't know. It depended on the room. But you knew you wanted to get Albies. You knew you were going to get them late. His average price, the bot wasn't going to come up and take him for some larger number. And you thought you could maybe sleep him through to the end. This is the biggest problem with the late sleeper, when you're trying to sleep your player through late. Oh, this guy, no one's ever heard of this prospect. I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get Whitley. I'm going to get whoever the hot guy is going to be this year. This is the problem. Somebody will have not spent their money properly in the beginning because they were scared. And they end up at the end of the game with a huge stack. Like $60 and 4 or 5 players to go. Nobody has money. So now this person has the pick of the litter. And maybe this was their whole strategy, was to have huge stack late. And this can really frustrate you if you knew you had the sleeper in other drafts. You were able to wait and just kind of scoop him. And all of a sudden, this guy who knows that you wanted last year's Albies, or it was Acuna, Ian Happ, even though he was a huge bust. Whoever it might be, you might be up against the huge stack. So this is the technique to avoid that huge stack. You're going to see in the first round, typically huge players will go, stacks come down. You get through the first round players, $50, $60, whatever the price is. Then you get into that area, the $30 players, 30, 25. And generally people are overspending in the beginning of the auction. So the overspend early leads to this big downward curve through value. Now it's who has money, who knows who they want there. Guys are going for 10, 11, 8, just a low amount of dollars, but they're still good players. I mean, these are the middle rounds. We just overspent because we're battling out for the big boys in the beginning. And so now there isn't as much competition. This is the time to nominate your sleeper. Do it in the middle. Do it in the middle when there's still a lot of talent out in the pool. So even Big Stack doesn't know he's Big Stack yet. You slip Albies in, he's really got to say, oh, but there's 5 or 6 other guys, or there's other middle talent, or he's still got to get pitchers. And they won't know that in the middle. But if you leave your stud sleepers that everybody's high on, that everybody's been talking about on all the podcasts, if you leave them till the dead end, you may lose to Big Stack. So my point here is that there's times when you have to nominate the dude that you want. You gotta put him out there. And the best time to do it is after the steep fall. Get down through the 20s and the teens. The money's starting to get low. Guys tighten up. They got to wait because they want to have a little money, because they want to have some play late. There's some guys they're still eyeing. Nominate that dude. Get him in. This way you can avoid, you'll just lose to small stack. I mean, some guys will wait. It could be the very end. He's got $60 in one player, $50 in one player. He's going to get whoever he wants. It doesn't matter if you saved a reasonable amount. Oh, Albies is going for 6. I saved 13. I'm going to be able to get him. I'm so excited. No, Big Stack is going to get whoever he wants. So you've got to know that you've got to nominate your players. I'm going to give another tip here. If you know you're getting a guy you've been holding out, maybe you got into the first round guys, maybe you didn't. But now there's a middle guy, and you're like, I want to get a piece of Yelich, or let me see who I might get here. A good guy to say is like Hoskins. Hoskins isn't going to go for that much. I'm very high on Hoskins. You'll see when I get to my 12 through 24. But you don't know how much he's going to go, but you want Hoskins, and nominate your guy. Nominate your guy. You know that it's your time. I'm big stack. I've got all the money. I need Hoskins. Don't wait too long, because now you can't assess your stack properly. If you wait too long to nominate him, now somebody else went by that you maybe could have gotten in on. You want to see what he's worth. So there's something to be said in the beginning of the draft to throw your guy in and just get him. I like some auctions where I nominate the guy and then I pay for him. Like, I nominate him, I'll pay whatever he costs, I'm just going to get him. And this is even a way to throw people off, so that if you're bluffing, if they think, oh, he nominated him, this guy thinks he's always going to get the person he nominates, and they want to run you up, and then you just get out of bed, oh, no, I didn't want him, and you can leave somebody overpaying, that's kind of the counter bluff to it. The auction draft is not just throw guys you don't want and throw trash until your guy comes up and then you sneak and get him somehow. I mean, that's not how it works. So there absolutely is a time to throw your guy into the pool. The first part is when you're big stack and it's time for you to see, what's my dude worth? Let me just get it out so that you can start assessing your team and planning the rest of your draft. You don't want to wait forever if he never gets thrown up on the board. The other time to nominate your sleeper is during that drop, when guys have already gotten tight. If there's bots, the auto draft isn't going to run you up to something crazy. Throw your guy in there. Have the fight. Have the fight then. Don't wait till the very end because you were so clever. You're the only one that wanted Albies or Acuna. You're the only guy. You're going to lose to Big Stack at the end. The other contrary part to this, the last kind of scenario is taking a late sleeper and just throwing them up early, like your first pick, Acuna. Just put it right out there, pay for him. This, you got to balance it. You got to balance it because what could happen is everyone's got a lot of money. So if it's really high, now people can pay high. You might end up paying a premium. So I'm not necessarily going to say throw him up right in the beginning and get it over with unless he's just a complete sleeper and no one's going to pay because they're still saving for bigger players. It's kind of a judgment call on that one. So those are some of my tips for being a little bit more strategic in your auction. You should nominate players that you want to buy. And here's another follow-up. So guys will figure, I got to get everyone's stack down. And they'll start, who's the most expensive player? Machado, Bryce, Trey Turner, just putting them up there. But there's a little more subtle. Go into the mid-range. Go into somebody who's solid but not spectacular that you might get an overpay because he went early in the draft. Like I'm going down here, maybe Charlie Blackmon. Oh, he's got name recognition. Guys are going to want to pay for that because it's the beginning of the draft. His average cost might have been $19, but you put him up early, and we had a little bit of fight. We had a little bit of enthusiasm and arguing in the beginning of the draft, and you'll see Blackmon go for 28. So now, as opposed to putting up the automatic guys who are going to go, who are going to get spent on, you put in a mid-tier player, and they'll pay up. This is especially effective with bots because good luck getting everybody to make in the auction. So I'll probably have to do a whole cast on just how to deal with the bots. But you can often look, or a pitcher or a certain position that you can put in a mid-tier guy, you can force an overpay. Because in reality, after everybody overpaid for everybody else in the beginning of the draft, by the time we actually got to that player, he's going to go for value. And in some ways, I think that you're depleting the cash of other people better with the mid-tier guy that you don't want any part of versus a really high guy who, I want him, but I don't want to overpay for him. So that's my plan on that. I'm going to keep coming at you with specific auction techniques to get you to dominate your auctions. Snake is so boring to me. But anyways, let me kick back over here. Like I said, I've been tinkering. I dropped my top 12. You got to go back and check those out. Hit me up on Twitter at DailyJLee. Like, subscribe, the usual. But let me drop the next 12 names. These guys are no doubters. I mean, when it comes to the first round, what it is, it's the randomness of baseball. It's random. It's random. Even terrible hitters hit 200. You're talking about the difference between a 200 hitter and a 300 hitter. It's like terrible and can kind of dictate outcomes. So you don't really know the outcomes. Again, we're looking at skills. We're looking at contact rates, stuff we can guarantee, stuff that's going to be sticky year to year. And I get a little clustery here, but this is can't miss talent, who to me is going 12 to 24. We're going to start with J.D. Martinez. I have at 13. Really looking at the numbers, I'll be honest with you, JD could be the third best hitter in the game. He's not 5 category, he's 4 cat, but the power, the HR is elite, and the Ribby is elite because of the lineup. He's got Mookie in front of him, Bogarts, Devers, Benintendi. The lineup is exceptional. RBI opportunities galore. Apparently he just yanks it into the monster. It bounces off. They got to field it. Like, his BABIP was crazy. It was probably a career year from JD. JD is an elite power bat. And if you want to launch him up to third, you can. I put him all the way down here for one simple reason with JD Martinez. He's getting old. He already had an injury history. He gets a little hammy here and there. He gets injured. Maybe he's figured that out. Maybe now he's Nelson Cruz. He's young Nelson Cruz. And he's just going to mash and he's going to stay healthy. There's a chance. The exit velocity is crazy. The barrel rate is crazy. The eye is there. The power is there. JD was the top 3 hitter last season. So he probably still is that. I'm just going to ding him because I don't necessarily want a Red Sox. And the health. And I would say, honestly, drafting health and trying to predict injury is probably a mistake. So I may have to reevaluate where I want JD. The BABIP was so high at 370. I just don't want to be there necessarily if there's a step back. He's not my favorite player. But you're talking about the third best hitter in baseball. Don't let him get off that cusp. Do not. And here's another prodigious power player again, Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton has massive power, there's no question. He's not going to take bases. The lineup is stacked. He plays for the Yankees. So I'm going to make a little segue into this. I don't like hitters the first year they change leagues or change teams. Giancarlo was a Marlin. He went to the Yankees. And there's just something about batter eye. There's something about, there's no stat for this, but picking up the ball as it comes off the backdrop and just seeing pitches. And then you change leagues, you were a Mariner or the Marlin, and you're used to those pitchers, and then you got to come over to the AL East. It's a whole new set of pitchers. And so the trend for me is these guys underperform year one. Stanton was a first-round pick. Stanton was 50 bombs. He lead the league in bombs. Great lineup. Trouble adjusting. Didn't come together. He's getting booed in Yankee Stadium. Then he settles in. Now he's learned the pitchers. So he's going. His value has dropped. Nobody wants to deal with that. Everyone, I don't know. Is he even good? This is Stanton. Okay, I have him at 13. Stanton. Next, his teammate Aaron Judge. Love him. A lot of haters. People were slow to get him the first year. Really slow. Not me. Had the right podcast going. Shout out to the In This League Fantasy Baseball podcast. Is they just a Judge? 6'6". Exit velocities are league leading. Power is exceptional. Takes a little bit of base. 8 to 10 bases on top of 40, 50 home run power. Short porch. And people wanted to hate again last year. They didn't like their profile. There's too much swing and miss. No, he hit 270. Youngster's getting better. He has a filthy eye. Massive speed. Bat speed. The injuries last year, they suppressed the numbers, the wrists, whatever it was. Injuries are going to happen. I got to look at where I'm putting Stan, but I love Stan. I'm sorry, I got to look at where I'm putting Judge because the power is going to be exceptional. He's up there with Nato and JD and Stanton. Those are probably the only guys that can offer this degree of power. Harper slowly behind that, and then Chado. Let's stick with the outfielders. There's a little outfield cluster. You just can't let these guys go. 1, 2, 3. My fourth person, so 16. Soto of the Washington Nationals. Soto comes up at 19. Everything we thought we were going to get from Vlad Guerrero, who was never called up, we get from Soto. Huge splash, makes it splash. And he's one of the guys in reviewing my top 12. I've really got to think about where I'm putting Soto. His eye in the second half. So, segue. If you want to get a little more granular, you want to dive into the details a little bit, look at first half and second half stats. First half health after the All-Star break. These can be two completely different oceans in baseball. A guy can go from great to suck to great in just the All-Star break. Brian Dozier, second half stud, first half suck. You never know when you're going to get two first halves from the guy, though. And he's old, so I'm laying off of that. But he's got his place. But if you look at Soto's eye and Soto's contact rates, Soto's got a better hit tool than Acuna. I'll say it right now. He's laying off. He's making contact. The contact is solid. There's barrels. Soto was 19. What he does is not seen before in the majors. His whole rise has been crazy. So we're talking about young Alex Rodriguez, young Griffey. So Soto, I don't know. I got to bump him up. I don't know who I want to bump down yet. We're going to have to look at it a little further. Here we go. I got him way down here. I'll finally pick him if he's here or pay something is Yelich. Christian Yelich, I think the MVP. This is my problem with Yelich. Segue. I don't even have my Fangraphs open, so I'm just going to have to freestyle it. But he hits a lot of hard contact, and then you got to go into your line drive, fly ball, ground ball. Liners will take. Okay. Fly ball's good. Fly ball's power. Guys who hit 40 to 50% fly balls, good chance of hitting home runs. Guys who hit a lot of grounders, not going to hit a lot of home runs. Ball's going down into the ground, hitting it into the infield, trying to run it out. Yelich, ground ball rate is crazy. He only has like a 30 or 34% fly ball rate. His BABIP got absurd in the second half. I mean, he was crazily lucky. His home run to fly ball, another stat you have to look at, for how many fly balls does this guy hit, how many went out. And there's a league average, or each individual player has his average. It might be around 10, 15%. Yelich's home run to fly ball was 33%. 1 out of every 3 fly balls he hit were home runs. That power could regress. That BABIP could regress. I mean, I know he's taking bases. He's 4 category. I don't know. I don't want to call him a late bloomer. He's always had average. We knew that the park change was going to be good. He went from cavernous Marlins Park to the little bang box that is Milwaukee. And I think he'll continue to take advantage. He'll hit high in the lineup. There's no problems. He's going to make contact. I just don't know if I'm going to get it all from him. I might get 18 and 30. I might get a little quietness from the power. So I don't know. I haven't bought into Yelich. I just think with the BABIP and the lot of ground balls that we could have some issues. And here we go. We're going to jump over first base. It's tough here. There's a couple guys that it's even worth talking about, and the first one I like is Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins, here we go. Check out the last video. Hoskins, small sample size stud. Then he got overpaid for because they were like, oh my God, he's the future. He's the best first baseman in the game. He was going round 2, round 3, top 30. But there was no book, and he hit home runs at an unsustainable rate. Full season, he struggled a little bit. Guys are disappointed. Took him a while to get the power going. But again, looking at that first half, second half split, he's got an elite eye. He's a big boy. He's shown the power. He's shown the power in the minors. I'm ready to get back in on Rhys Hoskins. I'm not going to let him slip too far. Right behind him, Paul Goldschmidt. Goldilocks is built like a running back. And running backs decline at age 32. And it didn't take much to just see his zone contact rate just slowly come down a little bit. Just a tick. Oh, he's 30, just a tick down. And you go, Goldie's losing bat speed. What happened was Goldie got overwhelmed in the first half. He made some sort of adjustment. He's still a beast. He's still a stud. And he was good in the second half. But that big boy, he's not going to run as much. St. Louis is a bad park. Be careful here. He's not going in one for me. He's not going on the cusp. But at some point, you got to get a first baseman. And he's a stud. So I got him right there. Next, Chris Bryant. KB. We thought we were going to get 45 home runs from this guy. He's got a Rookie of the Year. He's got an MVP. He's also got a last year shoulder injury. He said the shoulder was the issue, and then they had to fire the batting coach because Chili Davis wanted him to hit to all fields, and the approach wasn't right. And this is my problem with KB. You got to watch players. I watch a lot of pitchers, mostly. But I watch Chris, and I just don't like his stance. He's just a little tight. He's a little crouchy because he's 6'4", and sometimes I think you can be too long in baseball because you're going to be a lot of moving parts, too slow to the plate. And the shoulder, once shoulders go, they don't get better. A surgery on a shoulder, it's not going to get better. So we got a lot of people that are believing. A lot of people are like, oh, Chris Bryant, you're someone who was chasing prospects 4 or 5 years ago. You got to get with the next wave. Vlad, Acuna, Soto, KB. I hate to say his best years are behind him, but not a lot of speed. I don't know what the power is going to look like. He moves all around the diamond, so the multi-position is important. I'm going to hold some belief out for him, but there's a chance he doesn't really reach the elite above him. Let me see where I'm at. Next, Frederick Freeman. So Freddie keeps disappointing with the power numbers for some reason. He might only hit 20, 25 bombs. He doesn't like to strike out, and he likes contact. The average is going to be there. The lineup is premium. And I have a personal love for Freddie because I know he lagged all season, and he didn't give me the 35 home runs that I thought he was capable of. He keeps taking pitches to the wrist and to the hamate bone and fracturing things and having to recover, and he's injury prone. But tell you what, when everybody had stopped watching baseball because their teams weren't that good, I was still in the playoffs grinding out another month of baseball, fantasy baseball, and Freddie Freeman was an absolute beast in September. He was hitting 430, 440. A monster tear. A come-from-behind victory. So people that are down on Freddie, they didn't own him. And if they owned him, they didn't have good enough teams to see how he ended the year. Freddie is going to deliver. He is a no-question first baseman. You could differentiate himself. Take him over Hoskins and Goldschmidt. Think that the power comes together for one season. I don't think he's too old. I think he's 28. So, believe in Freddie Freeman. Next, Rizzo. I don't know. People are scared. The back hurt him a little bit, and then it lingered. This is the other thing in preseason. If a guy's dinged up, a little hammy, a back, a shoulder, he's not going to get better in the baseball season. It's too much of a grind. It's too much of a wear on the player. The injury is going to stay. They need the whole offseason. They need to recover. They need to be trained out of it. And so if you get a little whiff of something, and what we saw with Rizzo is I slept wrong in a hotel bed, and then my back, and I don't know, he didn't get it right. He likes to crowd the plate, so he gets hit by a lot of pitches. The discipline's there. He has power. The other issue I think is the Cubs have a weird stadium, so it's freezing, and then the MLB started the league earlier, so they were playing games in snow. I don't know. Like, send the northern teams to play away southern teams if you're going to start the season April 1st. But, I don't make the schedule. So he's got to deal. It's got to be cold, and then you got to deal with the angles that the wind comes, and like maybe Chili Davis isn't going to be there. I don't know. Rizzo's solid, not spectacular. And to round out this group, I think I'm going to give you two more here. Actually, two, and I'll give you a little preview of a couple guys who were kind of nibbling at this top 24. Javi Baez. Whew, Javi Baez. Wow. Javi Baez. I mean, I was a year early on Javi. He burned me. He wasn't getting the playing time. Then I wasn't even thinking about Javi. I mean, people that had Javi last year, you stumbled into him. Like, be honest. You didn't know. You were probably higher on Ian Happ, who you heard was going to lead off. Javi had just burned you. You had Javi, and like, oh my God, you ran into 35-25. Like, good. That's what auto draft can do for you. So Javi's back, but he could fall off again. I love the speed. I love that he's a terror. We know he's got power, but he swings a lot. There's a lot of swing and miss. He was lucky. We're going to take him for those counting stats and because he's 5 cat, but if somebody has risk, it's Javi. It's Javi who may just hit 240 or 250 again with more home runs. And stolen bases, again, I think are situational. You've got to get on base. You've got to have nobody in front of you. It's got to be the right time to take the steal, and then you get sent. It's not like just something you have control of, like hitting home runs. So, I mean, we got Javi in there. I'm not going to deny him this. He's still a shortstop. He's an exciting player. And then I'm just going to throw Anthony Rendon out there, who is high average, not enough power, but that batting eye, he's a no-doubter. He is going to hit for you. He is going to hit. He's going to drive in runs. Washington's still going to be good. I'll have Trey in front of him, maybe Robles, whoever else they bring in. Bryce might stay. So don't leave Rendon out of this. And the couple names who I'm going to try to mix in later, Chris Davis, Matt Chapman, Altuve, Small, Ohtani, and Nelson Cruz, who are just outside of this group. They kind of represent the no-doubter hitters. And at this point, as I'm tinkering with my sheet, I gotta let you know, I look down and I see other hitters, and I already know the issues. Those top 24, 25, 28 guys are studs. You got to get pieces of that if you're doing snake still or whatever, because that's all you can get guys to do. Like, make sure those guys don't fall. And this is when I start to jump over to pitching, because it's great. It's great. You want to go flags fly forever, the baseball prospectus, and they're dropping their catchers, and then they're doing second base. And they'll tell you, they'll list out those base players. They'll tell you that they like Whit Merrifield as a 5-star player. That's fine. I haven't even listed Whit. But how do you compare Whit to Yelich? How do you compare Altuve to Soto? That's where the one list is. Get the work in early. Already have sorted this out with yourself. One way you want to fix your lineup, you want to just trust your instincts. Pull all your players down in your spreadsheet. Just pick, highlight it, drag them, make some room, and just draft. Who would you take? Trout, Betts, Lindor, Machado, Jose, Bragg. Just draft, just resort them, put them back up, because it's important to have this cross alignment of a first baseman or a shortstop. At first, the positions don't matter. You need the player. You're not going to take the second best second baseman when Aaron Judge is still out there, because we're looking for elite power. So it's nice. You could have a bunch of lists of top 10s next to each other. You get into the draft, you have no idea. You have no idea who to take. The top 5 of everybody is gone, and how are you going to compare? So I make the list, refine it, and you draft from the list. And what you'll find is, because of site management, where the auto draft picks start to become just gross, and there's a lot of closers in there, or your league is not good and guys are just drafting chaos, you get to about 40 or 50, an elite one list will show you the talent. The talent will just still be there. How is this guy still there? So an 8, 9, 10, I'm still drafting top 70 players. 120 guys are off the board. I got my 77th player. So that's why the one list is important. That's what we're tinkering with. Hopefully those tips in the auction will help you out. I got more of them. Give me a like. Give me a comment. Let me know someone's out there. I don't know. I might be the only one watching my own videos. @DailyJLee on Twitter. Holla.